how we want to generate some force in the golf swing. This is power. In the golf swing, there are three forces that we measure. And the first one is a horizontal force. And that's really side-to-side movement. And a horizontal force is what starts the backswing. We actually start the downswing with it as well. And there are some important ways that we use the ground side to side to not only push back, but put the brakes on each side. The second force we use is a torque force. And really a lot of players that think that they're creating a torque force with their lower body just twisting. It's not how we measure torque force from the ground up. We actually like to see when your feet are connected, how your feet grip the ground to shear back and forth. And that shearing in opposing directions actually makes your body turn. The third force is a vertical force. And when you swing, your body gets lighter and heavier and then actually extends as you come up and out of the shot. What I see really average hitters or players that don't hit the ball very far is that they really don't change weights. Their body stays the same all the way through the swing. And that's not good for power. So a vertical force, a long time ago, it was a bad thing. It was taboo. It was keep your head down, don't look up, make sure you stay still. And then we started to see players swing who actually jumped, their feet left the ground. And this is actually a great accelerant to the club. And knowing that it's okay to use a vertical force is a part of what I want you to add to your game for power. So knowing how this order works, horizontal, torque, and vertical force all together is the sequence. All good players share this in common, that their body is going to shift, turn, and rise. We can't get around that order. It's a law. And understanding that these three forces are at play. A lot of times I'll meet a golfer that comes into the studio and they're starting with their rotation. The first move they make is to turn. And this has a lot of effect of sending the club over the top or cutting across the golf ball and generally slowing the club down. And they're not wrong thinking that they have to turn more in their downswing, but they're missing the order. So the first thing we want to do is learn that you start the downswing by shifting to the target, then turning, and then extending as you come through to the finish. Shifting, turning, rising. Those are the three forces, and that's the order towards impact. A great way to train the order of the swing sequence, you don't need to hit anything, you really don't need a ball, but just get the club in your hand, and I like to just hover it in the air. And I'm just moving gently from side to side, and as I do, my pressure starts to lead going back, and you'll see my pressure moves first into the back foot. And this gets me to lead back into the first move down, starting my pressure towards the target. A really key moment that we look for in the downswing is that when a player's lead arm is about 45 degrees from the ground, they've started that horizontal force. They've begun that shift back to the target. And by the time a player's lead arm is parallel to the ground, the majority of their pressure is already on their front foot, and they've started their torque. Finally, as soon as the player's hands are by their belt before impact, this is when a player is at their peak vertical force, when they're standing the most. So all three forces happen from the start of the downswing to about waist high with the hands. And getting the order correct is essential for making the best swing you can with the most power. A great way that we try to train these is, again, to start the club back with pressure and down with pressure. So I'm leading the backswing with my pressure and the downswing with my pressure. And this essential move gets me correctly starting the sequence. We'll amplify things like torque and vertical forces by how your stance is positioned. If you're lacking in torque and you want to have more torque force in the golf swing, the simplest thing you can do is to increase your stance width. If you've ever gotten a flat tire and you go into your trunk and you take out the little lug wrench that they have to change the tire, it's really hard to get that to move the nut on the tire. But as soon as the guy from the car service comes, he gets a big long wrench, puts it on it, and it comes off more easily. That's torque. So the wider I have the base that I get between my feet, the more torque that I can create, the more twist I can use with the ground. A vertical force is another important amplifier to the swing, and I see a lot of players that are late in their vertical forces, and they tend to be a little deep with their knee bend at impact, and their bodies tend to go down as they strike the golf ball. Think of a fat shot or a thin shot even that happens from this with bad contact. And a great way to teach that is I really like players to just practice halfway down when they stop their swing to simply stand. Feel the pressure coming out of the front foot. And this vertical force is really important because it makes the club go faster. Imagine if I were just trying to make the club head go fast and I had to push both ends of the club towards the target. Well, it would only go so fast as the handle could go. But if I wanted the club to go faster and the handle began to pull up, it would make the bottom of the club head, go faster. So we actually see the handle of the club rising towards impact, not staying level or traveling down towards the ground, but actually lifting, curving as you're getting taller. So all three forces have something to do with power. The sequence, that's important for having a good golf swing that's repeatable. If you have an improper sequence, you're going to see errors in path, in centeredness of contact, and in the face of the golf club. A great sequence will start to feel effortless. The club will go faster, and you'll start to maximize what you can do with your swing. But learning how to do each of these steps really starts with leading the backswing with your pressure and leading your downswing with pressure. That's a critical part of understanding the first force. A torque force can always be increased by simply standing a little bit wider. And a vertical force happens when you allow your body to simply rise as you get into your finished position. By doing all three of the forces, you become what we call a trifecta player. You maximize all three, and that's typically what I see the longest hitters do. They max out in all three forces. You might not use that for every shot, but you want to know how to do it when you need to bomb the golf ball. Really hit it as far as you can. Sometimes on a stock swing or even a knockdown shot, not as much as you need. The magnitude of the swing starts to soften a little bit, but guess what? All three forces are still present. You're still using all three, and you're still doing the sequence. So making sure you know how to amplify each and get the order correct is the best way that you can start to learn to incorporate forces from the ground up in your game.